Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you to all my amazing subscribers. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the amazing content that I have for you. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this wrap dress that is being displayed right now. I made this for my sister. It was her birthday on the 5th of May and she wanted this dress, so I decided to make it for her and she absolutely loved it. It came out beautifully and I just thought to teach you guys, so I filmed the whole process. I hope you like it. If you do like it and you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share, don't forget to comment because I love to read from you, and also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Thank you and enjoy the video. To make your Ankara wrap dress, you need the following items. You need your fabric, and I have about 4 yards of Ankara. You need your tailor's chalk. You need some pins. You need your fabric scissors. You need your pencil, but I'll use a marker so you can see clearly. You need a long ruler. I'm using my steel ruler. You need a hip curve, a pattern master, and some pattern paper. I'm using regular white paper. Place your paper in portrait mode and indicate the bust point and shoulder to waist measurements on your paper. The shoulder to waist measurement is also known as the half length measurement or the front body length measurement. From the half length measurement, mark 6, 8 and 10 inches as the hip region, or mark your waist to hip measurement if you know it. Then square these points out and label appropriately as shown in the video. At the top of the paper, mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2. In this case, the shoulder measurement I have is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5 inches. I've gone ahead to mark 7.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and mark the neck width, which is 3.5 inches because you don't want it too wide. After marking your neck width, mark your neck depth of 1 inch and then connect this point using your pattern master or freehand as shown in the video. Mark 1/4 of your bust measurement on the bust line, 1/4 of your waist measurement on the waistline, and 1/4 of your hip measurement on the hip line or hip region. You also want to mark 1/4 of your hip measurement at the hem. Because we're making a wrap dress, add 1 inch or half an inch to the waist measurement so it's not too fitted at the waist, and then go ahead and connect your waist point to your hip region using your hip curve. I decided to go with the outer 1 inch mark to allow some freedom in the dress. Connect your bust points to your waist measurement as shown. Next, mark 2 inches above the bust line and square out as shown. This will be our armhole depth line. Then draw a perpendicular line from the shoulder point to the armhole line as shown in the video. On the vertical line, mark a point 1 inch. This 1 inch is to account for the shoulder slope. Next, draw in your armhole curve. It's okay if it goes inward a little bit as our cross armhole is actually smaller than our shoulder. Draw in the shoulder line from the neck point to the 1 inch drop as shown in the video. Then blend all sharp edges. At this point, the back piece is ready. Remember, this is not a pattern. We are simply drafting freehand on paper. To draft the front, place the back piece on a folded piece of paper, making sure the edge of the back piece aligns with the center front of the folded paper. Pin and cut out the same thing. Open up your piece and label front. Then draw in your neckline from the shoulder neck point to the waist point. You can either use a slant straight line or a curved line. Also, drawing a line from the waist to the hem as shown in the video. Cut out your front piece on the lines you've just drawn. For the back, you'll be cutting out one piece with your fabric unfold, and for the front, you'll be cutting out 2 pieces of your fabric. Fold your fabric and place your back piece on it. Check that you have enough sewing allowance and ensure that the edge of your paper aligns with the folded edge of the fabric. Mark your sewing allowance of 1 inch at the side seam and half an inch at the armhole and neckline. You also want to mark your allowances at the hem. I added a difference between my paper and my desired length to the hem because, like I mentioned earlier, my paper is a lot shorter than my desired dress length. So I went ahead to add that to the hem. After marking out all your allowances, give your dress a pegged effect by marking out 1 inch on your hemline and linking it to the hip region with a slant line as shown. This just helps to make our dress fit better at the bottom. Go ahead and cut your back piece. To cut the front piece, repeat the same process. Fold your fabric, pin your front piece onto your fabric and mark out your sewing allowances of 1 inch at the side seam and half an inch at the neckline. Then go ahead to mark out the difference between your fabric and your desired length at the hem. You also want to repeat the side shaping at the hem for the front. After marking out your allowances, cut up your fabric. I put an X on the back of my fabric so that I can tell the right side from the front side. Then I went ahead to arrange my pieces together as shown. After arranging the pieces together, pin the sides and mark your 1 inch sewing allowance on the side seam. After marking your sewing allowance, go ahead and sew your pieces together. After sewing the sides together, the next step is to cut out the front facing. To cut your front facing, fold your fabric and place your front piece on it and carefully pin this piece to the fabric. Be sure to have about 2.5 inches of shoulder width on the facing. The right side of the facing should look exactly like the front piece and the left side should be straight as shown. Cut out the facing as shown in the video. After cutting out your front facing, notch the shoulder area so you don't mix up the placement. Then go ahead and cut your back facing using your scrap fabric. To cut your back facing, place your back piece unfold on the folded edge of the scrap fabric so that they align, then pin. After pinning, mark out your facing width at the shoulder. The facing width I'm using is 2.5 inches, as that is what I used for my shoulder width on the front facing, and they must match. Cut out the neckline and remove your back piece. Then mark your 2.5 inches all round from the center back to the shoulder points and cut as shown in the video. After cutting the back facing, place the facing on the back piece so that the right sides are facing each other. Then pin along the neckline. Sew on a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing, notch carefully and top stitch as shown. Next, sew the front facing to the front piece on a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. At the waist point, leave a gap of about 2 inches for the belt to be inserted into. Then continue sewing. After sewing the front facing to both front pieces, hem the edge of your front facing and back facing as shown. After hemming, the next step is to insert the belt into the space left and join the shoulder. To make the belt, cut 3 strips of fabric that are 6 inches wide and about 40 inches long. Divide one of the 3 strips into 2 and join each of the half to the other long pieces as shown. This is just to elongate the belt. To sew the belt, fold it over so that it measures 3 inches in width. I like to give my belt a nice shape by snipping it at an angle at the bottom. Because it is wider than the belt space we left, mark 1.5 inches at the top and cut it on a slant line so that it blends nicely. Repeat the same for the second belt. Sew your belt on a 0.5 inch allowance, leaving the top so that you have room to turn your belt inside out. After sewing, turn your belt inside out as shown in the video, and then iron your belt thoroughly. Insert your belt into the space left at the waist in between the facing and the fabric, and then sew to close up the hole. After sewing in my belt, I went ahead to top stitch my facing. Next, join your shoulders as shown, making sure the armhole, facing and shoulder points align. Then sew on a 0.5 inch sewing allowance. After sewing, your wrap dress should look like this. On the side seam, locate the waist point on one side and loosen 2 inches. This is to make room for the belt to go through when wearing the wrap dress. Be sure to lock your stitches above and below the 2 inches gap we've just taken out. Next, hem your dress as shown in the video. After hemming your dress, measure the armhole so you can cut the sleeves. To cut the sleeves, fold your fabric in 4 and check that you have enough for your desired sleeve length. Mark out the sleeve length vertically and cut off any excess you have. From the top, mark out your armhole measurement horizontally all through the length of the fabric. Then mark a point 5 inches from the top as shown in the video. Draw in the arm curve and cut. Since this is not a fitted sleeve, sew both sleeves on 1/2 inch allowance. After sewing, notch the sleeve crown and fix the sleeves to the dress. To fix the sleeve, pin the side seam to the seam area on the sleeve and pin the sleeve crown to the shoulder points. After pinning the sleeve crown and the seam, pin all around, making sure all excess is at the crown. You can add in some pleats with the excess. Repeat this for both sleeves. After pinning, sew on an 1/2 inch sewing allowance. After sewing your sleeves, hem your sleeve ends by folding in 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. While hemming, leave a gap of about 1.5 inches unsewn. This is so that we can pass our elastic through. Measure the elastic you need to fit the bicep. Then with a safety pin, pass your elastic through the gap we left unsewn. Sew the elastic together after passing them and close the gap by sewing. At this point, your dress is now finished. After ironing the dress, this is what it looks like. We have now come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching to the very end, and thank you very much for supporting me. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up, remember to comment, and remember to share. If you've not followed me on social media, please remember to do so with the handles being shown on the screen. And if you've not subscribed, please remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you. If there's anything that you would like to see me do, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be reading, and I love to read from you. Thank you once again for watching, and catch you in my next video. Bye.